Okay, this is a video lesson for 1.2, solving multi-step equations. So I'm probably going to move a little bit fast here, you guys, just to save on time, but you can always pause it and catch up, write what you're doing. But as I'm doing this, you need to be writing too. So this is 1.2, multi-step equations, and we're going to look at what happens when you have some different things. So first off, I'm going to be looking in the book, so you should also have the book open too so you can see it too. But I'm going to look at example 2, so we're going to start there. So with example 2, and this is on page 12, so this is example 2. And we have a negative 12 equals 9x minus 6x plus 15. And you notice I went down the center of my paper, problem on this side, checking on this side. Yes, you are going to be checking these problems. So here's our equation. We have a negative 12 equals 9x minus 6x plus 15. Well, if you notice over here on the right-hand side, you have terms that you can combine because they're like terms. So we're going to put negative 12 equals 9x minus 6x is 3x plus 15. So you're looking for a number times 9 minus that same number times 6, that total, plus 15, that gives you a negative 12. When you combine these like terms, you're really only going to have 3x. This is now a two-step equation. So you have your variable here, your variable term here, and then you're adding this constant. So it's the reverse order of operations. We usually do the multiplication first and then the addition, but when solving, do it backwards, not really backwards, but the reverse order of orders of operation. So this is addition here. So I'm going to inverse property is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract both sides. And we have a negative 12 minus 15. This is where you got to be very careful. These are both negatives. So it's like you're adding them together, getting a negative 27 equals 3x divided by 3. And you get a negative 9 equals x. So a lot of times I will box my solution so it's a lot easier to see. Over here, when you substitute in, you're going to put that negative 9 everywhere you see the variable here. You have 9 times negative 9. When I do these, I like to use parentheses, never the x anymore because of our variables. And the dot sometimes gets a little confusing because with negatives. So I just do 9 parentheses times a negative 9 minus 6 times a negative 9 plus 15. Now, when you work these, if you notice in the book, it just replaced it and then it went straight to negative 12 equals to negative 12. I want more details. I want it to actually be proven that they do equal, because some people make mistakes and they just jot that down. Well, that's not even testing it really. So we're testing to see if this side really does equal. Well, negative 9 times a negative 9 is a negative 81. Negative 6 times a negative 9 is a positive 54 plus 15. So I'm still testing. So now we're just going to go left to right. These are both addition. Well, really, they're all addition, so it doesn't really matter. I could add these first and then take it from there. But you can do this. You can do 81 minus 54. That is 27. That's going to be a negative 27. Negative 27 plus 15. That does give us a negative 12. So that proves that negative 9 is the correct solution. This is why this unit sometimes takes a little bit longer. I didn't load you up on problems, but make sure you're diligent about how to check these properly. Okay, so let's do one. I'm going to go down to page 13, the monitor progress number 8. Monitoring progress number 8, because this is with distributive property. So we have a negative 4 times the quantity of 2m plus 5 minus 3m equals 35. So now we have distributive. You need to distribute before combining like terms. And when you distribute, be careful of that negative. Okay, there's a couple of them that I worry about, that it's a number in here and you're going to distribute the negative. Make sure you remember that's a negative. So it's a negative 4 times 2m. It's going to be a negative 8. Negative 4 times 5. Don't forget you're using distributive property to all the terms inside. It's going to be a negative 20. I bring everything else down. Okay, you guys, that's the one thing you've got to get good at, is bring everything down. Don't keep too much in your head and you'll lose it. Negative 8m, now we're combining like terms. Negative 8m and a negative 3m. Okay, so it's going to be a negative 11m minus 20 equals 35. Again, I bring everything down so I don't forget it. Now, reverse order of operations. So I'm going to get rid of this negative 20 by adding 20. The addition property of equality. Bring down the negative 11m, don't put that negative, equals positive 55. Divide by negative 11m, or 11, negative 11, and your m should equal negative 5. So I'm going to box my solution, just so it's easier to find. And then checking, and if you're still with me and really listening at this point, would you draw a big old happy face right here? I'm going to check that when I come back. So we're going to substitute in. Now here's where, notice there's already parentheses. Now I'm going to do a bracket. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a negative 4 because that's on the outside. Since I'm going to have multiplication here, I'm going to do a bracket 2 parentheses negative 5 because I can see ahead that I have to multiply. So I'm going to make a bracket. I'm going to use the parentheses to multiply. Plus 5, close bracket, minus 3 times the negative 5 equals 35. It's just, when you have, you don't have any parentheses that you're going to work, it's just multiplication. So it keeps it a little easier to see all these parentheses. So now when this happens, I'm going to work inside out. When you check with distributive, don't distribute in. It just makes it a lot more complicated for you, and your number's much larger. So keep that at the end. So then we're going to do 2 times the negative 5, which is a negative 10. Now I can just do parentheses, plus 5. Now I can multiply this at the same time. A negative 3 times the negative 5 is a positive 15. I'm going to work inside. Don't distribute when you check. Again, it just makes it larger than you need to. So you have a negative 4. Negative 10 plus 5 is a negative 5. Plus 15 equals 35. Negative 4 times 5 is 20. Plus 15, and it's 35. So your checking, if your checking should probably be close to the amount of lines that you took to solve it. Maybe you got one less. But most of the time, it takes as many lines to check it as to solve it. Okay, so this is why we have huge books. Okay, one other type of problem that I want to discuss with you is, well, there's 2 of them, is when you're dividing by a number. So you're going to see this in some of your work. So, in fact, let's just go ahead and do number 9 together. Number 9 is one of the problems you have to do. So we're going to go ahead and do it. H plus 6 divided by 5 equals 2. Now notice, this is a grouping, and we talked about that with our PEMDAS, that we're not really going to have that P, where it's a grouping. So you're really taking that number plus 6 divided by 5 and getting 2. So we're going to actually multiply by 5, the inverse operation. We're going to do that first before subtracting 6. So when we multiply by 5, you're going to multiply both sides by 5. These cancel. So then you have h plus 6 equals 10. And then subtract 6. So you're basically looking for something plus 6 gives you 10. Well, that's going to be 4. So h is going to be 4. Should be. So when you check it, just do 4 plus 6 divided by 5 equals 2. Do not do this. 4 plus 6 divided by 5 equals 2, because that won't work. Because otherwise you divide these first, then add 4. And that's not going to come out to 2. So then 4 plus 6 is 10. Divided by 5 equals 2. And 2 does equal 2. So when you get to division problems like that, get rid of your denominator first, if it's all underneath the denominator. All right, one other thing that you're going to be working on are working with some geometric shapes. And just pay attention to what it says here and think about the sum of 180. You're going to set that up as an equation and solve for k. Okay, look at your common terms that you can combine. Down here, you're going to be writing and solving an equation to find the number. I only want you to check your blue paper and check Power School with the for the assignment. Hold on, I got to focus this. I only want you to write the equation, because if you don't write the equation correctly here, then you've done all the solving and checking for nothing. So only write the equation. So when it says the sum of twice a number and 13 is 75. Think about how to write that out as an equation. okay? So some of those could be a little trickier. Remember, the odd numbers are in the back, so you can check yourself there, all right? So once you guys work, we'll probably do a work day on Monday and Tuesday, because I want to make sure everyone's caught up. I just quickly jotted down the assignment here, but check your blue paper. So 9, which you did, 10, 18 to 28 even, and then 29 to 34, just write the equation only. And then there are 3 word problems, 47, 49, and 50, okay? Also, don't forget, I did put the answer key in a 1-1 online on your Google Classroom too. So you can definitely check that, and we'll go over any questions that you have on Tuesday.